Yo, Queen David Penn, Clique Prime Minister. Real quick, just want to let y'all know that after the clash, we're going to be discussing about the clash over on our Twitch channel. So if you want your opinion heard about who you think won, should have won, let us know directly over on Twitch. Link in the description below. We have a lot of things to talk about this clash, a lot of technical issues that I had to overcome, and a lot of news updates, so be sure to head over to our Twitch after the clash. All right, enjoy.
I'm Esther Koch, Young Identity Dynasty, Manchester, UK.
I've come against the best before, and I've come out on top.
You know poetry drop it when the pen clicks, and poets get it poppin' with the pen click. You now rock with your boy Queen David, the pen click Prime Minister, out here with my brother Daniel. He's the chubby fat god, and this is the Poetry Clash, our first international poetry clash between Esther Koch from Manchester and Kito Fortune from Los Angeles, California. West. But no biases here because we also got international judges out here. Some more info on that later. The Poetry Clash is a 3-round poetry competition, 2 prompted rounds, and 1 poetry form round. And without much further ado, Daniel Hees, please introduce our poets.
Poet number 1, representing LA, introduce yourself.
Yo, what's up, man? It's Kito Fortune from Los Angeles. Shout out to Poetry Lounge. Shout out 2 Cents Movement. Let's do this.
Poet number 2, from Manchester, England, let them know.
Hi, my name's Esther Koch. I'm representing Manchester, UK. Shout out to Young Identity, Shirley May, and everyone I wrote a poem about today.
Shout out Manchester, shout out Shirley May, shout out Young Identity. That's how we got connected to make this international bout happen. All right, so the first round is a prompted round, and the prompt is things I wish I knew. 90 seconds, and the poet who elected themselves to go first was Kito Fortune, so it's on Kito, 90 seconds, let's get it.
I wish I knew how to dance. Like, dance. Like, middle of the circle, drowning in my own sweat dance. But all I know is the awkward collecting of my self-esteem when I get too excited and lose the tempo. I wish I knew how to properly comfort the grieving. But warm words and shoulder touches have always been ancient Latin. All I know is sitting silently, waiting to make a joke that isn't too soon. I wish I knew how to trace my roots past the top layer of soil, but all I know is a gifted last name and a stolen land. I wish I knew the texture of a gold medal between my teeth, but all I know is the quiet fist bump of beating my personal best. All I have learned is to saran wrap these tiny victories, preserve them for the days I have nothing. All I have learned is that after a bad week, no one cares if you're still on beat. All I have learned is a Cupid shuffle, a cha-cha slide. I've learned to wobble like I invented every step, and it feels like my ancestors raised up to dance with me. Like my mom could see my granddad swag in my 2-step. All I have learned is to care less about first place if my awkward little moves could put a smile on my family's face. And I wish I knew all of this younger. Because 12-year-old me could have been a hell of a dancer.
Hey, yo! Hell yeah. Round 1, the prompt is things I wish I knew. 90 seconds on Esther. Let's get it.
I know what I'm worth, but only by way of male adolescent analogies, and I'm so done with it. I feel like a monster truck in a Salford car park derby of pimp Fiestas, grass green Mitsubishis, and your mum's Fiat Punto hatchback. Other girls are popping and yowling, grazing the tarmac like acrylic nails down your shoulder blades, twin exhausts huffing with carbon and cush and abuse, rear spoilers cobalt blue like the breast of a peahen. I am transcendent, a once-in-a-lifetime event. I am Drift Tengoku. I'm not Friday nights or the Sunday afternoon come down because I never come down. I'm bouncing off your anticipation to California Love, Fuji La and Eiffel 65 like an Nemean lion. I'm euphoric to be let out of the Colosseum. But she knows the streets and she knows how to distribute her Saint-Tropez compactness in those grey Topshop leggings, abdominals sickening. Whereas my axle is clicking, and not that satisfying clicking that a BMX makes, but the telltale sign of a dwindling attraction. Like a beautiful galleon, as it sails through hurricane straits, a ship has no clutch to disconnect me from this place. To disembark with my feelings still intact is the consolation prize of this race.
Woo! Wow, yeah.
Bars.
Yo, bars.
Round 2, one-word prompt, temporary, 90 seconds, poet number 1.
I keep asking myself, if I truly believed as permanent, would I have given you more than my all, offered my donations of blood with vertical slices, chewed my wings past the gristle, cracked my bones open and flown to you on mirrorless stubs? Can I blame it on the temporary? How it stalked us since our inception, squeezed itself in between every hug. Maybe our embraces weren't as warm as I remember. Our moments of satisfied silence, more awkward than I could see. Was the temporary always present? A dastardly demon tying bungee cords to our leap of faith, a ferocious yank permanently lodging my heart in my throat. Your name tastes like iron now, and I blame it on the temporary. My name tastes like an empty glass. You drop it, and I shatter in a different room because I can't hear you say it anymore. Don't know if the shards cut you as you tried to clean it up, or if they sit in the cupboard collecting dust, and you purging the memory of it ever being on your lips. I blame it on the temporary because it's easier. I get to say it was smarter than me, like I never saw it coming.
Hey, yo!
Oh my goodness. Round 2, poet number 2, you're up.
When you're lonely, a kindness is never temporary. We met to talk about work. I could see he was disturbed, it was nerves, it was restless words tumbling like kittens between synapses, looking to perforate his body and collapse into his coffee, ruin my dress for once, it wouldn't have bothered me. Tiger's eye on cabochon. Deep and still by the tobacco, smoky quartz in the jovial moon, he had me imagining a baby in clam pink at the baptismo, wrapped in a crocheted blanket courtesy of Avo. We basted crow's feet in each other's faces, a conjugal kindness. Despite his discomfort, I felt comfy, like seamless tights, a full, fat, milky feeling, a bottomless bowl of porridge, a holy grail at my kitchen table, piping hot knowledge, a good food and wholesome conversation kindness. If he'd only agree, I'd let him excavate my heart, he'd find a kiln, sacks and urns of miln devotion, spare clay and kindling, fix the gutters while you're at it, a tradesman's kindness. And then we went outside and the charcoal dragons that constitute the night writhed at his sight. He is Ryujin. He met me halfway with a waxing gaze, the lit crescents of 2 cigarettes in a Mancunian haze, and a clawed finger made its descent and wagged in dissent. He's an eternal incense cone. He can roll the rainy city and blow it back through a microphone. From some isolated location, he can control the ambience in my home. He's not for me, a celestial decree. When you're lonely, to accept a kindness is to be cautionary.
Woo.
Wow.
Pen Click Poetry Clash, round 3, and the third round is a form round. And for this poetry clash, the form is a pantoum. A pantoum is a form of poetry similar to a villanelle in that there are repeating lines throughout the poem. It is composed of a series of quatrains, that's 4-line stanzas. The second and fourth line of each stanza are repeated as the first and third lines in the next stanza. It's a really tricky technical form of writing, but we knew that both Kito and Esther can handle this challenge. So with that being said, no time limit, form round, Pantoum on Kito Fortune. Let's get it.
Look and see that the world is on fire in more ways than one. Fitting that we already have our masks on when the smoke seeks to blot out our sunlight in more ways than one. What kind of coughing will threaten us today? When the smoke seeks to blot out our sunlight, we ask for the Lord to help us find oxygen. What kind of coughing will threaten us today? A bloody moon looms over our city. We ask for the Lord to help us find the oxygen, fearing that we cannot breathe. A bloodied moon looms over our city, and democracy goes up in flames. Fearing that we cannot breathe, we're forced to smile with just our eyes. And democracy goes up in flames. Fitting that we already have our masks on, we're forced to smile with just our eyes. Look and see that the world is on fire.
Yo, Kito did that. Kito did that.
Yes, sir.
Round 3, form round, Pantoum. It's on Esther. Let's go.
The day I laid a curse was the day your woman who sells the crystals fleeced me for a fat druzy to ward off infatuation. That day your woman who sells the crystals helped me conjure a filthy scheme to ward off infatuation with a man, a malevolent multimedia masquerader. So I conjured a filthy scheme. I forced rose hips from Mrs. O'Hare's hedge into the man's mouth, the malevolent multimedia masquerader, until his cheeks bruised. I forced rose hips from Mrs. O'Hare's hedge into the man's mouth, and now his face looks like capers. 4 weeks of bruised green cheeks. I heard his mammy got some dosh from the local papers. And his face looked like capers, but that couldn't be his lot. His mammy got some dosh from the papers, and I stole some secateurs from Mr. O'Hare's garage with the shitty lock. No, it wouldn't be his lot, and so I pruned my acrylic nails with Mr. O'Hare's secateurs from the garage with the shitty lock, so I could deftly handle the alchemical weight of the crystal woman's rock. And so with my acrylic nails no more, I inspected the druzy for its preternatural potential, and using Mr. O'Hare's secateurs, I hacked its facets into a pan. Satisfied with the potency of its preternature, I warmed yoyoba with witch hazel and menthol. With the hacked facets in the pan, I gave the finished concoction to my malevolent man's mam. You see, yoyoba, witch hazel and menthol are remedial of poison ivy and loathsome thistle. I gave the finished concoction to my malevolent man's mam because she was the woman from whom I bought the crystal.
Hey,
Bro.
hey.
Oh, that was dope.
Pen Click Poetry Clash, Esther versus Kito Fortune. What a clash, our first international clash. It was dope. And Daniel, what are your thoughts on the clash?
So super lit. Style differences were great. To see these two vastly different styles execute at the super high level was beautiful. As far as scoring, Kito had some slip-ups in the first round, those performance slip-ups. He was bars, he was on point, but there was a couple little flub-ups there. Round 2 was amazing. It was like pretty much neck and neck as far as content, and like it was super. They both brought the same feel to round 2, which I thought was super interesting. Because round 1 was super different. They were vastly different in content on both ends, kind of, and then round 2 was they were kind of in the same pocket. Round 3 was incredible. Like the brevity in Kito, the relatability in Kito's story, all of that was amazing. Esther brought in something that was like true magic, right? Like poetry tricks, right? Like that's what it felt like. It felt like a magic trick of sorts.
It was
like
alchemy, bro. It's that alchemy.
For real. So yeah, I'm gonna say round one. I'm gonna give to Kito, despite the performance flub up. He had a couple little stumbles there, but he really hit the theme, I felt, way harder than Esther did. It was a beautiful poem by Esther, but I felt like Kito just nailed the prompt really well. Round two, I'm kind of like split decision on. I kind of feel like it's kind of neck and neck as far as like they both really brought a similar thing, and it's hard to judge that. Round three, I mean, this is so hard to judge, but I'm gonna say like round three, I'm gonna give it to Esther for that magic trick. Like that was definitely something special that if you saw that live especially, you would be like, what just happened? That was amazing.
I think I got Kito 2-1 with the debatables being round one and round two. It could go 2-1 either way content-wise, but as we'll see in the scores, we're gonna show who came out supreme. Let's go. Unfortunately, in the second round, Esther did get disqualified for going well over the time limit. Typically, it's a 5-second grace period, and then you get a point deducted every second after that, and then she went over 13 seconds, so that pretty much DQ'd the whole round. But we present to you the judges' scorecards as originally scored. Judge Henry Beckwith scored it 24.9 and 22.6. Cold Piece scored it 25.3 to 25.2, so 0.1. And Olivia scored it 26.1 to 24.3. And the win goes to Kito Fortune.
Hey,
let's go.
West Coast.
Yes. My name is Henry from Word Spoken Podcast. If you don't know what that is, we're basically the UK version of Pen Click, so be sure to check us out. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. This Pen Click clash was incredible. Esther and Kito were both phenomenal in this. I really like to see them kind of writing to a new format, only 90 seconds in each time, but I thought they did a brilliant job. Now let's break it down round by round. I thought round one, Esther actually slightly tipped Kito here. I thought her poem was slightly better. Kito did have a couple of stumbling blocks, which I thought did hold him back, even though it was an incredibly written piece. I thought the performance lacked something for me there. Round two, I didn't care too much about the DQ. I thought it was a very powerful piece from Esther, so I actually loved that piece. I will say though, again, I think Kito did go a little bit further with this one, mainly in terms of his performance and his acting. I just thought it really added a whole lot to the piece, and I found myself very engaged throughout. And then finally, round three, two incredible pieces. This is such a technically hard round. They both stood up to the mark really, really well there. Again, I'm going to have to be honest here, even though I am a plucky Brit from the UK. Kito absolutely nailed it for me. I thought that poem was incredibly powerful given the kind of carnage that's going on right now. That line, fitting we already have our masks on, just stuck in my mind. Great imagery, great writing, great performance. So for me, that was the highest scoring one of the whole thing. I thought it was incredible. I want to see it again. Shout out to both Kito and Esther. Pen Click guys, incredible.
Greetings, everybody. My name is A Cold Piece of Work. I'm here with the Poetry Clash with the Pen Click. Shout out to Kito Fortune and Esther Koch. I edged it to Kito. The first round, Esther got, Kito stumbled through, and I related to the poem more, but because of the stumble, I couldn't dance all the way with it. So Esther edged the first round. The second round I gave to Kito. I really related to his poem. It was amazing. Esther was dropping jewels, but I related to Kito's poem even more. The third round, if I had to pick a winner, I picked Kito, and it was only because a lot of the magic in Esther's poem I didn't get. I didn't understand. So it was a beautiful poem. It was written well, but I didn't really get it because I don't have the magic translation yet. But Kito's Pantoum was amazing. The way he told the story, the way he chose the lines, the way he performed it. It was an excellent way to showcase foreign poetry. And that's not a lot what we see. these days. So his poem was amazing. Esther's, like I said, was written amazing, but I didn't understand it, so I edged it to Kito. Shout out to the Pen Clique, #1 podcast in the world. Let's go. A cold piece of work.
It's Olivia Koo at olivia.koo. I write poetry and do things on self-healing and help my community build on their self-love. And I'm really excited to be rating. I've never done it, so it's pretty exciting. I like that we have kind of very different poets today. We have Kito and Esther who have different styles, and I would say it really came pretty neck and neck for me. I think in the first round I really related to Kito's poem. I just felt like it just made me go on this journey with him, and I really understood the feels, but it was so close for me because with Esther, her analogy and her references and her delivery was just really top notch. In the second round, I really feel like, I think Kito kind of did it for me just because his wording, like his whole entire analogy about shattered glass, and it just kept going. And I was just like, ugh, my heart. Esther was also great. Her last line, I think it was, accept kindness to be cautionary, just also really took it home for me. I think they're both insanely awesome poets. And in the third round, I think there was just insane technicality on both ends. I think that Esther won it for me. I'm very magical as well. So I completely went with her on this entire journey, and the story was beautiful. I think Kito really hit it in terms of what is happening in the world right now. So I thought that was great too. So overall, just a really awesome time. I really appreciate Pen Clique for having me. And again, I'm Olivia Koo. Follow me on Instagram at olivia.koo, and I'll see you guys later.
Let's actually take it over to Esther real quick. Let's talk to her real quick, since like even though it was DQ'd, she still felt like the poetry still needed to be said. She knew going into this. So Esther, thank you so much for participating. You did feel like, as you explained, you still needed to get those words off on that beautiful second round piece about temporary. Give us more info about that, and like your whole decisions and how you felt about the clash overall.
Clash overall was a challenge. It really was a challenge. Like we were saying before, Kito was saying before, it's actually harder to write less, to write to 90 seconds. And you know, I knew, and I was going over the poem today, and I was cutting out unnecessary words, but I still knew that poem was going to be a little bit too long, but that's what I had. It was from the heart. I felt like it would scupper the integrity of the poem if I did anything more to it, and if I didn't perform it. And thank you, Kito, for being so inspirational. Thank you. I really, really enjoyed listening to your work, and it just spoke truth, and it really felt it encapsulated the world we're in at the moment, especially those last couple of poems. Yeah, they were really quite hard hitting, so thank you.
Kito Fortune, you've competed in every type of poetry competition you could think of. What'd you think of the slam or the clash system as a whole?
Oh man, I feel good. It's super different from like what I'm used to. Like just first of all, just adjusting to like the 90-second time period was like a big step for me. Like after like doing slams, because I kind of already have like a natural clock in my head, like when I'm writing for a slam, like of 3 minutes. So this was like something that's completely different, and it's a challenge. But also like doing like the turnaround of like churning out the poems. We had like about 2 weeks to write the poems and like get them down like performance ready. So that was really difficult. But yeah, I'm excited. It was so much fun.
Hey, you killed it. You came through. You got that dub.
Right.
Who you want to smoke with, Kito? Who Kito want to clash with, bro?
Oh, well, first of all, can I just say like Esther, like Esther is super dope. Like that was crazy. She brought the smoke this time. Like though, especially her Pantoum, like the way that she like constructed it, but also like kept telling the story like consistently. Like, I mean, I've written Pantoums before, but never been able to like get that. And that's like so hard to do. And like, she was fantastic. As far as anybody else, I mean, like, you know, I'm excited to try this again. Like now that I understand the process and like what it's required and whatnot, I'm definitely down to try it again and get it like mastered. So anybody who's up for the challenge, let's go. Duke it out.
And that was the Poetry Clash, Kito Fortune versus Esther Koch. Big up to both poets. Big ups to our judges, Olivia Koo, a cold piece of work, Henry Beckwith of Word Spoken Podcast. Be sure to check them out. And if you love the Poetry Clash, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you can see more poetry clashes as well as other dope poetry content. And be sure to share it to other people to let us know who you want to clash on our platform. Comment who you think won, and see you at the next clash. Quia David, Daniel He's out here, Pen Click Gang Gang.